Welcome to WikiPodcast. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the extraordinary life of, well, a true titan of thought, a scientific genius who really reshaped our understanding of the cosmos, Stephen Hawking. And he did this despite facing just immense personal challenges. Our mission for you today is to give you a shortcut, sort of cut through the noise, and get you well informed about his remarkable journey, his mind-bending theories, and how he brought the universe closer to millions.
Yeah, what's so fascinating, I think, is how his personal story isn't just like a side note. It's deeply, deeply intertwined with his groundbreaking scientific contributions. It makes his whole journey just unique.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. His early life, Stephen William Hawking, born in Oxford, January 1942, into an intelligent family, maybe a bit eccentric. Both parents went to Oxford. His father was a medical researcher.
Right, but Hawking himself, he wasn't initially, a star student, apparently, but he found his calling in physics. He rejected medicine, famously called it too inexact.
Which is interesting, isn't it? And even as a kid, he was building things, like a computer from old clock parts, a record player from spares. Shows that early spark.
It really does, and it raises this important question, doesn't it?
Mhm.
What happens when a mind that's so eager for fundamental understanding, for the big questions, faces such a profound physical challenge?
Exactly. He went to Oxford at 17,
Mm.
found the work, in his words, ridiculously easy at first.
Hmm. And he was popular, witty, even coxed a rowing crew. Had this kind of daredevil image, apparently.
But then things started to change. Final year at Oxford, moving into his graduate studies at Cambridge.
Yeah, Cambridge, studying general relativity, cosmology, the big stuff. That's when he started noticing things. Clumsiness, some slurred speech, subtle signs at first.
Which leads us to this really pivotal moment.
Huh.
1963, he's only 21. He gets diagnosed with an early onset, slow progressing form of motor neuron disease. ALS, essentially.
ALS. And the doctors, well, they gave him just 2 years to live initially. 2 years.
Incredible. And yet he completely defied those predictions, lived for over 50 more years with the condition.
50 years. He actually said later that the prospect of an early death, it made him realize life was really worth living. Gave him a new focus, maybe?
A powerful perspective shift. So how did this connect to his work?
Well, if you link that defiance, that drive, to his intellectual work, his initial stuff, spurred on by Roger Penrose and other great physicists.
Right, Penrose.
They worked on gravitational singularity theorems. They theorized that the universe might have started as a singularity.
A single point. Infinitely dense.
Exactly. They showed that if the universe obeys general relativity, Einstein's theory, it must have started that way. A huge conceptual leap, really.
And it wasn't just the beginning of the universe, was it? His early work also involved black holes.
That's right. He proposed the second law of black hole dynamics. Basically, that the surface area of a black hole's event horizon, that point of no return, can never get smaller.
Okay, so it can only stay the same, or grow.
Precisely. And this led to more work with Bardeen and Carter. They proposed the 4 laws of black hole mechanics, drawing this really interesting analogy with thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics,
Yeah.
like heat and energy.
Yeah, it was a surprising connection. But then his focus shifted again towards quantum gravity, trying to unite general relativity with quantum mechanics.
The two pillars of modern physics, which don't always play nicely together.
Exactly. And inspired by some discussions he had in Moscow, his calculations led to probably his most famous prediction.
Hawking radiation.
Hawking radiation, the idea that black holes aren't completely black. They actually emit radiation particles due to quantum effects near the event horizon.
Which must have been controversial. I mean, black holes swallow everything, right?
Hugely controversial at first. It seemed to contradict everything we thought we knew, but the maths held up. It was eventually accepted as a major breakthrough, a key piece in the puzzle of quantum gravity. He was even elected a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1974. Very young for such an honor.
And he clearly enjoyed the scientific debate. You mentioned Caltech earlier, that bet with Kip Thorne.
Ah, yes, the wager about Cygnus X1, whether it was a black hole. Hawking bet against it, sort of as an insurance policy, he joked. But when the evidence mounted, he publicly conceded, paid up the bet, showed his commitment to the science.
So alongside these huge intellectual leaps, his physical condition was progressing.
Yes, steadily declining. But his independence was fierce. He always wanted to be seen as a scientist first, not defined by his disability.
He only reluctantly started using a wheelchair in the late 60s.
That's right, and apparently became known for his somewhat wild driving in it. His speech deteriorated over time, too. Eventually, only his closest family and friends could understand him.
Until 1985. Pneumonia, a tracheotomy,
Mm-hmm.
and he lost his voice completely.
Completely. A devastating blow for someone whose life was communication, sharing ideas.
So how did he adapt? How did he keep communicating these incredibly complex thoughts?
He found a way. It's remarkable. Initially, it was painstaking, using his eyebrows to select letters on a spelling card. Imagine.
Wow, just the patience that must have taken.
Incredible patience.
Hmm.
Then, in 1986, technology came to the rescue. He got a computer program called the Equalizer.
The equalizer, how did that work?
It allowed him to select words, phrases, using a hand switch initially. Later, as his control lessened, it was adapted to use just a single cheek muscle.
A single cheek muscle to write papers, books, give lectures.
Exactly. He even joked he could communicate better after losing his voice than before.
Yeah.
And of course, that synthetic voice, the American accented one, he kept it his whole life. It became iconic.
Instantly recognizable.
But the challenge didn't stop evolving. By 2005, his communication speed had slowed dramatically, maybe 1 word per minute.
That must have been immensely frustrating.
Immensely. But again, he didn't give up. He collaborated with Intel, with SwiftKey, the predictive text people.
Using AI.
Yeah, using predictive software trained on his own extensive writings to speed things up. It just highlights that unwavering determination to share his insights, whatever it took.
Beyond the pure science, though, he had this other drive, didn't he? Making science accessible.
Absolutely. He really wanted to bring cosmology to the masses. And, well, there was a practical side, too. He needed to finance his children's education.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And he held prestigious positions, like the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge.
Yes, in 1979, Newton's old job. A huge deal. And he kept pushing the theoretical boundaries even then. He proposed the information paradox for black holes.
Okay, what's the information paradox?
Basically, quantum mechanics says information can't be truly destroyed, but if a black hole swallows something and then evaporates completely through Hawking radiation, where does the information about what fell in go? It sparked years of debate, decades really, sometimes called the black hole war.
A war between physicists. Sounds intense.
It was. Very intense intellectual arguments. And Hawking eventually conceded his initial position, that information was lost, called it his biggest blunder.
Takes courage to admit that.
It does. He later proposed a new, controversial idea for how information might escape. The debate still kind of continues, actually.
But for the public, his biggest impact was probably A Brief History of Time.
Oh, undoubtedly. Published in 1988, it was just a phenomenon. A record-breaking bestseller, 237 weeks on the Sunday Times list. Sold millions and millions of copies.
Why do you think it connected so deeply with people?
Well, he worked incredibly hard with his editor to explain these really complex, mind-bending ideas, the Big Bang, black holes, the nature of time in non-technical language. He made the universe feel accessible.
And that success, it turned him into a global celebrity, didn't it?
Absolutely. Master of the universe, the media called him. His public profile just skyrocketed. And he followed it up with other popular books, like The Universe in a Nutshell, even children's books with his daughter Lucy.
Right, the George's Secret Key series.
Yeah. And he embraced pop culture, too. Appeared on Star Trek, The Simpsons, The Big Bang Theory.
Playing poker with Newton and Einstein on the holodeck.
Exactly. He even allowed his copyrighted voice to be used in films, like The Theory of Everything, the biopic about his life.
Which raises that question again.
Mm-hmm.
How did he possibly balance this intense public schedule, the celebrity, with the demands of his research? It's extraordinary.
It really is, and his personal life, well, it was just as complex, just as layered as his theories.
He married Jane Wilde back in 1965, shortly after his diagnosis.
Yes, and Jane later said their engagement gave him something to live for during that incredibly difficult time. They had 3 children together.
But his disability, it must have placed enormous pressure on the family, on Jane particularly.
Immense pressure. As his needs grew, they required live-in nurses, assistants. That intrusion, combined with his growing fame and also their differing religious views. Jane is religious. Hawking was not. It put a huge strain on the marriage.
And they eventually separated.
They did. He later left Jane for one of his nurses, Elaine Mason, and they married in 1995. That marriage also later ended. It was a complicated personal life.
And philosophically, he was quite outspoken, wasn't he? Especially about religion.
Very outspoken. He identified clearly as an atheist, said the simplest explanation was, there is no God. called the afterlife a fairy story.
Strong words. And he wasn't afraid to wade into philosophical debates either.
No, he famously declared philosophy dead because he felt it hadn't kept pace with modern science, particularly physics. A provocative statement for sure.
He also seemed deeply concerned about humanity's future.
Yes, very much so. He warned frequently about existential risks, nuclear war, genetically engineered viruses, climate change.
Global warming was a big one for him.
It was. He believed space colonization wasn't just a dream, but maybe essential for our long-term survival as a species. Get some eggs in other baskets, so to speak.
He also warned about contacting aliens, right? Using the Columbus analogy.
Yeah, likening it to Native Americans encountering Columbus might not turn out well for the less advanced civilization. He urged caution.
So how do you square those sometimes quite stark warnings about our future with his own incredible personal resilience?
That's a great question. I think he embodied the potential of human reason and determination. He wasn't just talking theoretically, he advocated for concrete policies. Things like universal basic income, universal health care. He credited the UK's NHS for keeping him alive.
He's a strong defender of the NHS.
Very strong. And he pushed hard for action on climate change, even calling out political leaders like Donald Trump for their stance on the environment. He really lived his belief in our ability through science and reason to overcome challenges, both personal ones like his own and collective ones like climate change.
Stephen Hawking passed away on March 14th, 2018. He was 76.
76. Having outlived that initial 2-year prognosis by, 55 years? Just astounding.
His funeral was in Cambridge. His ashes, though, were interred in Westminster Abbey in London.
Yes, a place of huge honor, and positioned right between the graves of Sir Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin. Quite the company.
Fitting company.
And his memorial stone there, it's inscribed with his most famous equation.
The one about black hole entropy.
The Bekenstein-Hawking entropy equation, yeah. Representing his incredible work connecting gravity, quantum mechanics, and thermodynamics through black holes.
His final scientific paper was published after his death.
It was. A Smooth Exit from Eternal Inflation, co-authored, looking at the very early universe. And his final book, Brief Answers to the Big Questions, collected his thoughts on, well, the biggest issues facing humanity.
So his legacy is not just the physics, groundbreaking as that is.
No, it's much broader. It's cemented in those scientific papers, yes, but also in popular culture, in the millions he inspired. There are buildings, museums named after him, even a commemorative 50p coin in the UK.
He really showed the world, didn't he? That even profound physical limitations can't constrain the human mind. That a mind determined enough can unlock the deepest secrets of the cosmos and share them with everyone.
A truly unique and inspiring figure.
Thanks for listening. Write us your opinion in the comments on how Stephen Hawking's life story inspires you to overcome personal challenges. Subscribe to the channel to help more listeners reach our deep dives. Thank you and have an amazing day.